Do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and do not forget to thumbs the video up if you liked it. So it looks like this fight's about to happen, man. I mean, obviously it's not a done deal, but you know, you got Anthony Joshua agreeing to face Jarrell Miller. You got him talking about he's going to be training in America. You got Jarrell Miller's team saying that everything's looking smooth, everything's looking good. Although it's not confirmed yet, everything is basically pointing to this fight is 100% going to happen. Obviously, that means that Dillian Whyte didn't accept the offer. So it looks like any day now we're going to get a confirmation from Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua, saying that he will be facing Jarrell Miller in the United States. He'll be traveling for the first time to the United States to face Jarrell Miller to defend his belts. And you know what? Great fucking fight. I really don't care what anyone thinks about my opinion. You know, I've had a few people tell me that, you know, that this is a bum fight. You know what? Jarrell Miller is a young, unbeaten American prospect, okay? Is he a known fighter? No, but he's unbeaten. And I mean, is he he's known, but is he like known like around the world? No, but hardcore boxing fans, especially heavyweight fans, know who the hell Jarrell Miller is because he got a big mouth. He talk a lot of shit. He confronted AJ, right? AJ is taking a risk coming to the United States, going to Madison Square Garden, facing Jarrell Miller, okay? Madison Square Garden is in New York. The only guy who's from New York is Jarrell Miller. So he's going to have all the support, all right? So this is a risky fight, him going over here, defending his belt against a young, unbeaten guy. His belt against a young, unbeaten guy in his backyard, right? So I got to give Anthony Joshua props for that, for going to a guy's backyard and defending all his belts, because, you know, someone like Deontay Wilder, he never did that. Deontay Wilder never went to a guy's backyard, an undefeated fighter's backyard, to defend his belt. He made everybody come to the United States to fight him. Either the Barclays Center, either Alabama, or either Los Angeles. He never defended his belt outside the U.S. You know, so all these people saying that Deontay Wilder AJ needs to travel. AJ's afraid, but AJ's coming to the United States and he's defending his belts. Something that Deontay Wilder didn't want to do against him. Deontay Wilder didn't want to go to the UK and defend his WBC belt against Anthony Joshua. Deontay Wilder didn't want to go to the UK and defend his WBC belt against Tyson Fury. And Deontay Wilder didn't want to go to the UK and defend his WBC belt against Dillian Whyte. So I got to respect Anthony Joshua for fighting and defending his belt against Jarrell Miller in his backyard, all right? I personally think this is an underrated fight. If it does get confirmed, I think that this is a fight that is going to answer a lot of questions, because Jarrell Miller is a pressure fighter, okay? He's a pressure fighter, and he basically tries to walk down all of his opponents, right? Every time he fights someone, he comes forward and he goes to the body, and he basically tries to smother his opponents, right? He's a big heavyweight. He's 6'4", and he weighs about 300 pounds, so he tries to impose his size against his opponents. He tries to lay on them and stuff, and he's basically an inside fighter. I've seen Jarrell Miller get hit a few times, but I've never seen him get rocked. He kind of has like a kind of defense where he'll come forward, but he'll have his hands up blocking his kind of like what's his name? Remember Arthur Abraham, when Arthur Abraham would have his hands covering the top of his head, his face. That's kind of the defense Jarrell Miller has, except he doesn't just try to, like, because Arthur Abraham will overdo it. He'll do that, but he wouldn't let his punches go. Jarrell Miller kind of fights like that the way Errol Spence Jr. fights, and he comes forward and lets his hands go, right? The question is going to answer for me in this fight is, what happens when Anthony Joshua lands on Jarrell Miller? Because Anthony Joshua is going to land on him. How does Jarrell Miller react? You know, I believe Jarrell Miller has a good chin, but I've never seen him get hit with a guy as big of a puncher as Anthony Joshua. So that's the first question that I'm intrigued to find out. What happens if he lands on him? Another question I'm intrigued to find out is for Anthony Joshua is, how does he fight for the first time outside of his home country? He spent his entire career fighting in the UK. He's never fought in another country like the United States. So is that going to make him nervous? Is he going to feel out of his comfort zone? Because sometimes fighters, they fight in other countries and they don't look the same. They look nervous, right? They fight nervous because they're not comfortable with the environment, with the atmosphere. So is that going to play a part? Is that going to affect Anthony Joshua? You never know. You never know until the fight actually happens. Some fighters, they don't care. They could block. They don't care. It doesn't matter where they fight. They could fight in the fighters, backyard, house in his backyard, and they'll still go in there and perform at their best of their ability. So that's what I want to find out, is how does he cope with not fighting in the UK and fighting in the United States for the first time. I think he's gonna cope good, just because he fought in his 19th fight Vladimir Klitschko in a massive stage like Wembley, and he didn't break, and he got dropped, and he got up, and he didn't capitulate. He didn't wilt under pressure. So that tells me that Anthony Joshua is he has a very strong. He's mentally tough, because he didn't capitulate for that. So I think if he could go through something like that, then him fighting in the United States won't affect him. So I don't think that's going to affect him. But another thing I want to find out is, how does Anthony Joshua deal with Jarrell Miller's pressure? Because Jarrell Miller, let's say he lands bombs on Jarrell Miller, and let's say he can't take out Jarrell Miller, and he's on Jarrell Miller the entire fight. And Jarrell Miller's on him the entire night. How does he take that pressure? Does it tire him out? Does it wear him down out? Because sometimes fighters who are big punchers, they're landing punches on a guy, and the guy could take their best punch, and he keeps coming, and sometimes that mentally affects them, because they're like, man, I'm landing my biggest power shots, and this guy just keeps coming and coming and coming. So that's another thing. I'm curious to see what happens. I'm curious to see how Jarrell Miller approaches this fight. Does he change his style against Anthony Joshua? I'm curious to see what Anthony Joshua does. Does he change his style? One thing I will say is, Anthony Joshua should be throwing uppercuts, because Jarrell Miller comes forward right down the line, and he's open for uppercuts. And I think Jarrell Miller should honestly smother Anthony Joshua. I think you should smother him, because I think when you do that, when you have Anthony Joshua fighting on the back foot, I think he's vulnerable like that. So I think if I'm Jarrell Miller, I'll be going to the body. I'll be being very physical with him. I'm intrigued by this fight. I think this is an underrated fight. I think people are sleeping on Jarrell Miller. So, again, I'm not saying that Jarrell Miller is pound for pound the best heavyweight out there. No, but he's not the worst either, okay? He's unbeaten, so he doesn't know how to lose. So he's going to come to try. And he's fighting in his backyard. If this fight does happen in Madison Square Garden, he's fighting in his backyard. So he's going to have the fans cheering him on. That's going to give him... that's going to fuel him. It's going to make him feel like, you know what? I'm fighting in my hometown, my home country. My fans are for Brooklyn. He's really big on Brooklyn fighters. You see his Instagram. He's really big on guys like Zab Judah, Mike Tyson, all the great boxers from Brooklyn. So, he's going to really want to try and beat Anthony Joshua. I'm also curious to see what shape he comes in, because lately Jarrell Miller has been coming in really overweight. 320 pounds, 318 pounds. What shape is he going to come in for Anthony Joshua? Is it going to slim down? Is it going to be in the 290s, 280s? Or is it going to be the 218 pounds again? Because in my opinion, if he comes in that fat again, that's going to just slow him down. I think he needs to slim down and trim down against Anthony Joshua. It's going to give him better endurance. It's going to make him be more... It's going to, just basically make him faster. So there's a lot of questions in this fight. What do you guys think of this fight? It's not confirmed, but if it does happen, what do you guys think of this fight? What do you guys think Anthony Joshua has to do? And what do you guys Jarrell Miller has to do? And do you guys think any of the things I said will affect these fighters? Do you guys agree with what I'm saying? Or let me know what you guys think of this fight in the comment section, guys. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for the latest in boxing, guys.